With all the switches. Yep. Alrighty. Hello there, Andy. Hope you're having a good evening. Two in the morning. Hello there, Chessie. And I'm doing pretty good. Hope you're doing good as well. Thinking I'm going to run mostly Rio Grande stuff again tonight. Hello there, Chase. Here comes number 20. Virginian Truckee Overland cars. Those are always nice. I always like the Virginian Truckee stuff after I'm dead. I think I only have Concord Virginian Truckee stuff, but those Overlands they made are really nice. And I definitely understand about the wood splitting thing. I've had to split wood before and stack it. It's always a nightmare to do, especially when it's like 90 degrees out in the middle of the summer. Oh, and thank you, Chase. Yeah, pretty much a standard gauge Emma Sweeney. I honestly thought of making it so the stacking lamp would be interchangeable with that balloon stacking box headlamp, but I never did it though for this engine. Hello there, Crazy Spud. I'm getting close to finishing my Durango and Silverton collection. Concord, back in the 90s, made a ton of Durango and Silverton stuff for this station in Durango. And I've been trying to collect all the cars they made. I just ordered 2 more off of eBay, which is the General Palmer private car and the, what was the other one? The, wasn't Buena Vista. What was it? It was General Palmer, and they made another one. They did a ton of all the cars that they ran on the Durango and Silverton. And I'm almost done collecting all the cars that have been made for the railroad. I'm missing the Prospector private car and one of the box cars that they made. Concord had a lot of cool old-time stuff. They were like making that stuff into the, I think like 2010 or so, actually. Now you need to convert. That would be funny to convert the narrow or the standard gauge into the proper narrow gauge 20. That's way above my skill set, though. Way above my skill set. I wouldn't be able to do a conversion like that. It would be funny, though. Thank you for sharing the stream, Chessie. Hello there, Morning Mary. Yes, the Durango and Silverton actually does have open-air coaches, like the one it's pulling. They're not exactly, because these coaches are based on the, I think, the Cass Scenic Railroad ones. But they are very similar on the Durango and Silverton. And where's the other one? There's another one way back there. You can see behind or in front of the private coach. Let me get the train going again. Yeah, the Casey Jones video I did was pretty fun. Who made that? Somebody made a model of the locomotive. Oh, it was a NW Puff, Northwestern Puff. If anybody likes Sierra 3 watching this, you need to check his channel out, because he's done like 3 or 4 Sierra Railway customs so far, and they're all pretty good. He did what did he do? He did the Sierra 3 in the 70s recently. That one came out really good. He did a Back to the Future 3. That one came out really good. He did a ton. Oh, and he did the Casey Jones ones, of course. That one is my favorite that he did, was the Casey Jones one. That one came out like phenomenally that he did. And yeah, if you haven't seen his channel, I recommend it, because he has done a lot of customs with Sierra number 3, the Tyco Sierra 3. And I'm planning to do another one here soon of the Little House on the Prairie version of it from the 70s. I have yet to buy another locomotive for that, though. And it's going to be a while. I also plan to have Red Oak update that locomotive's mechanics and electronics for me as well. And thank you. How do you pronounce that? Stewingshin? Please correct me if I'm wrong, but thank you. I put a lot of time into this layout. The Cannonball would be fun. They actually have those on eBay, the Hooterville Cannonball, but it's not accurate to the show, though. Paint-wise, anyway. I saw one is going up for auction. It's like $200-some right now on eBay. It's crazy. Yeah, I can't imagine it being too bad to convert narrow gauge trucks on standard gauge locomotives, like a GP38. Never heard of the Abilene and Smoky Valley. I'll be looking at that one. But yeah, Durango and Silverton has a lot of open air coaches. I think their most popular one is like has a glass over top of it. I think it's called like the Scenic Vista or something, or Buena Vista. They have some pretty cool cars there. They have a lot of original 19th century cars that they run as their private parlor cars on that train in Durango. Yeah, Northwestern Puff. Definitely recommend his channel. He does a lot of good work, especially with his Sierra 3 models. Are really good quality that he did. Stewington. Okay. I didn't know how to pronounce it because it has an I right there. Stewington. Back to the Future 131. A lot of people have made Central Pacific 131. I'll show it off. Most people have seen it. Where is it? Now, I don't have the Central Pacific 131. I don't care to really personally model it just because so many people have done that model before. But I have made a DeLorean for my number 3 to pull. It's just, was it Matchbox or Hot Wheels? And I just put a new frame underneath it and railroad wheels so it works. It's always fun to push around with number 3. It's a lot of chat tonight. I'm having trouble keeping up. HO3 I considered. Shay would be cool in HO3, but honestly, if I did HO3, I'd probably be getting like K36s and K27s. The Shay would be cool, but I tried to get into it, and it's just, I don't have the money to totally invest in all the stuff needed for it. The engines are like $600 at best most times in HO3. I'd have to get all the track. I'd have to figure out a place to run it, and I just can't get into HON3, but I would love to in the future. Yeah, they made a lot of custom. I'm assuming, Chase, you mean custom wood cars, which would be pretty cool. They do have wooden. No, were those wooden? No, they don't have wooden kits that I'm aware of. But there's a company that did make models, proper models of the Sierra Railway shorty cars that the Casey Jones train pulled out of, I think, some sort of like die-cast metal. The roundhouse shorty cars are fairly enough based on them, but these are more properly replicated models. I think the company that produced the ones I'm referring to is Ulrich or Ulrich or something like that. You can find them on eBay, but they look exactly. They are based on the Sierra Railway shorty cars, those Overtons. UK is pretty cool. I used to have quite a few UK models, but I ended up selling them all off because I just didn't use them enough, and I needed to consolidate my interests into one theme, which is like American 19th century. The last engine that I think I owned was a Hornby. It was a Terrier. I think it was an LBSC Terrier. Brighton Works. It was a really nice one. That was the last one I owned and sold. Oops. Let's pause the engine. Yeah, I definitely recommend going to the Durango and Silverton and the Cumbres and Toltec. Cumbres and Toltec is up next for me, I hope. With any luck, this fall I'll be out there. Maybe I'll do a vlog. I wanted to do a vlog while in Durango, but I just didn't really have the time to do all the stuff involved for a vlog. Oh, yeah, and thank you, Andy. That petition is... I was honestly hoping for that petition for Sierra 3 to get more signatures. It's only at 84 right now. I was hoping for it to have at least hit 100 by now, but, you know, it's better than nothing. And Michael from Red Oak Trains shared it on Facebook. He shared it on his channel. I think a few other channels also shared it. So sharing definitely helps to get the word out that we want that model of Sierra 3 produced. Dual gauge I considered, but again, the track would be very expensive, or I would have to hand lay it, and I have absolutely no skills at the moment to do that. I am planning to redo this layout, and when I do redo the layout, all this track is easy track is getting replaced. I'm not sure with what yet. Atlas, probably, if I had to guess, just because it's easier. But I'm going to redo the track layout a bit. The town is going to stay the same. I'm going to rework this area. Everything besides the main town is going to get reworked to be closer to Red Dead Redemption 2. That's a summer project because I am broke at the moment. And thank you, Toju. .3D printing is probably the best to do HON3 narrow gauge. It will be significantly cheaper than if you try to get the brass models and all the kits that are needed to typically model HO scale narrow gauge. Just because they're so rare to find now, and because of that, they're just ridiculously expensive. Like I said earlier, like $600 is considered cheap for some of those HON3 engines, which is nuts. Yeah, and it'd be a good idea to trade out the trucks on the HO cars for narrow gauge ones to save money as well. Especially if you use the old time coaches, which will probably look ideal on narrow gauge trucks like that. Cast Scenic is a very scenic line. They have a lot of really cool gear-driven locomotives, like the Shays. I think they have a Heisler or a Climax as well. Mostly Shays, though. It is a really beautiful line. Hello there, Robert. Yep, I did send that number 3 in for Michael at Red Oak to do for me. he did a great job installing the sound and everything for that locomotive. I currently have 2 locomotives he is doing for me right now, which are my Durango and Silverton engines. A Bachmann 280, number 473, which is wildly inaccurate for the actual 473, which was a narrow gauge K28 Mikado. But, you know, that's what came in the train set that I bought in Durango, and I wanted it upgraded. So he's putting sound in that, and he's putting sound in a IHC, I think it is, Mikado 282. That's numbered Durango and Silverton 482 to represent the, and that's the K36 that I saw in Durango. Seeing a K37 go past McDonald's is off-putting. Yeah, it's kind of funny seeing those old steam engines blow past McDonald's. I actually was at that McDonald's one day when the train came in from the Cascade Winter train. That was pretty funny. And then it got immediately flooded with hundreds of people wanting lunch and dinner. Dual gauge transfer yard is what they have at the Cumbres and Toltec, Chessie, so that would be accurate if you were going to do the Cumbres and Toltec. Hello there, Strasburg. HO13 Betsy for only $400. I think, is that already assembled or is that brass? Or a kit, I mean. Because I saw that they have a kit for sale, but you have to assemble the entire thing yourself. And I saw, so who did that? I think it was... Somebody did a model of the train from Red Oak's video series lately. Oh, I'm blanking out on who did that. Somebody made the Betsy from Red Oak's latest series of railroads online. I can't remember who did it. I just watched the video earlier today. Oh, it was Leviathan York. Wow, I just totally blanked on his name. He did a model of Red Oak's Betsy 040 Porter, which is really cool, an N scale. Heisler, that's what it was. I honestly think, now this is going to be, for their train set, they should have honestly used their 260 over any of the other engines that they have for a Durango and Silverton train set. Now I know the engines aren't 260s; they're all Mikados of the Durango and Silverton. But it's proportionally the best looking model they could have that they could get away with calling a Durango and Silverton engine, because the 280 they currently use is just way too big of a locomotive and too modern looking of a locomotive to pass as like a K28 or K36. They should have used the Alco 260. It would look better in proportion with the coaches, and it would just look better in proportion representing one of those narrow gauge engines anyway. Even though it's wrong, but the fact that it's already made in HO scales, wrong enough anyway. So might as well at least use a smaller steam engine to represent the narrow gauge engines they run there. 210 and 480s with HO3 would be cool. You could use the Tyco 480 as a base. Uh-oh, we got a runaway coach. That coupling doesn't like staying on. An accurate CR3 without the balloon stack or box headlight. Crazy Spud, you should look into... I'm blanking on everybody's names tonight. Oh, wow. Oregonian Railfan has made a modern model of CR3 out of the Tyco 460, and you should look at it because he did a really good job on that. I believe it was a commission. I don't think he personally owns it, but he still did a really good job on it. Hello there, Leviathan. Yeah, I'm sorry, I blanked out on your name. I was trying so hard to remember. I saw your video earlier, and you did a really good job on that model, and I could not remember for the life of me your name for some reason. It's been like that all day today. My mind has just not been working. It's not been working today. But still, a good job on that modeled Betsy that Red Oak did, though. I also really like that other engine he did. He did like a 280 that looked like the mining locomotive from Red Dead. What is it called? God, I'm gonna forget the name of the mining company now. The Lanahasi in Midland that they have in that video game. That was a really cool model. I like the diamond stack he used on that 280. It's really interesting seeing somebody trying to replicate Red Dead in N scale. You really have to customize an N scale because they have like nothing available for old time Steam at this point. In N scale, with the exception of that upcoming Bachmann 460. Hopefully that'll be a good model, but they want like $300 for a tiny little N scale 10 wheeler, which is kind of asinine, but you know, whatever. Custom layout. Yeah, custom layouts are always the best. I tried to do prototypical modeling before, and I wanted to pull my hair out because I started getting super obsessive and OCD with getting details exactly right. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do freelance now because I'm going to go berserk trying to exactly replicate an actual prototypical railroad. And then I'd have like foamers looking at the layout like, oh, you can't be running that, you can't be running, I don't know, what's an example? You can't be running Sierra 3 on layout depicting Pennsylvania Railroad, or, you know, stuff like that. So hello there, one true nub. I'll have to check out that video of your layout. Yep, Durango and Silverton did take over on Red Dead layout. In general, the Rio Grande has taken over ever since I did that visit out to Colorado a couple months ago. I've just kind of been like obsessively buying Rio Grande and Durango and Silverton equipment. I would like to I'm getting back on track with the Red Dead theme though soon. I have this 440. I was thinking of buying a brass version of the 999. And I just don't think I'm going to have the money to be able to upgrade it and paint it because the other brass engine I have at the moment, which is Sierra Railway 24, which I'm paying to have turned into 28, that's going to cost me a ton of money to get back running and then have a person paint it and upgrade it and everything. Like a ton of money. I won't say how much, but it's a lot. And I just don't think I can spend that much on another brass model. So what I think I'm going to do... In the game, there's a 440 that's based on the 999. I think I'm going to use this engine to replicate the one in the game because it's close enough, I guess. I think I'll just put a new lamp and stack and domes on it and re-letter it and call it good. Ideally, I would like a brass 99, but I just don't think I have the finances to do that. But no, I'm trying to get back into the Red Dead theme. I would like to get Cornwall's private train built, which was that 460 painted blue with it had like a K36 tender behind it, which is weird. It looked like the train from I think they were trying to recreate the Butch Cassidy movie look for that locomotive because they straight up replicated the scene where they blew up the baggage car. So that engine's coming up soon, sometime this summer. The 440 needs work. So Red Dead is returning to the Red Dead Railroad soon. Yeah, the Elko 260 is pretty fun to watch. All the valve gearing on it. Three-foot gauge 210s built by Baldwin. I'm not sure. Whoever ran the narrow gauge 210s had to have probably been out in really flat areas, though, because those 210s I can't imagine being able to take tight curves or steep grades. So probably somewhere in the Midwest or East Coast, if I had to imagine, where they would run narrow gauge 210s. Hello there, Dakota. Hello there, Red Oak. I have to check and see how far back I am on messages. I'm like 5 minutes behind. I'm lagging really bad on the chat today. Oh, did you buy the 280? I hope you enjoy the Locomotive. That engine, I really wanted to keep, that Western Pacific 280, but I had to make money for other models that I want to buy, and I just don't. I have like almost no space left, and that 280 I just hardly ran anyway. So something had to give. I need more room for other models. I need the money to buy more models, which I'm trying to cut my spending on significantly because I really should be saving money now for, non-train related matters. So the 280 had to go, unfortunately. But I hope you enjoy that Locomotive, though. The Golden Thunderbolt, that sounds interesting. Yeah, Leviathan, my mind is just garbage today. It really is. It's just garbage. Hello there, Oregonian. We were just talking about you. I was just telling them about that custom Sierra 3 that you were commissioned to do that came out really well. Okay, I think I'm catching up now. The big boy in Pennsylvania, that's going to be cool to see the big boy in the East Coast. I don't think it's ever been on the East Coast before. EBT standard gauge. Bachmann produces EBT 460s. I don't know what number it is, but they make EBT stuff in HO scale that's standard gauge. All right. Michael, I just caught up to your comment. What drivers on what locomotive are you referencing? Because I'm like catching up on... I'm catching up on comments right now, and I'm already like losing track. Like I said, my brain is melted today, and I'm like talking, and it's just not remembering like half of what I'm saying today or what I'm even doing. Does this railroad go to Tahiti? Dutch wishes it went to Tahiti. No, it just goes in an infinite loop over and over. Robert, your railroad idea there for that private locomotive, what was it called again? The Golden Thunderbolt, I believe? Yeah, the Golden Thunderbolt sounds like a good idea. I can't keep up with all the comments. Hold on. I am like getting buried in comments tonight. I'm going to have to change out the locomotive in a second, too, because I've been running it nonstop. Yeah, I think the idea of running narrow gauge equipment on standard gauge is a pretty funny idea. I mean, they produce so much of it. Concord and Bachmann and, I think even Roundhouse has Durango and Silverton stuff in standard gauge. They just made so much narrow gauge stuff in standard gauge. It's pretty cool to utilize all of it and make like a standard gauge interpretation of the Colorado narrow gauge with all these commercially available products. And it's certainly a lot cheaper than going into actual HON3 or HON30 or any other sort of narrow gauge for that matter. Because most of them, like I said, are just so costly for, a whole slew of reasons. And I do look forward to seeing if you get around to that Glenbrook that you were talking about as well in the near future as well. Because those preliminary designs that you had of that Glenbrook looked really good. Yeah, I hope you enjoy that 280 Dakota. Hello there, Vintage Renewed. Sumter Valley. I have a picture of the Sumter Valley locomotives. Where is it? It's on my calendar. I have to look at the Sumter Valley engine real quick now that you mentioned that. What month was that? I can't find it. There's White Pass. That's a cool one. I'm sidetracking really bad today. Sumter Valley. Okay, there's number... Mentioning Sumter Valley, there it is on a calendar that I bought a while ago. Number 19. That would be pretty cool if that's how that Mikado ends up coming out. Looking that Michael's working on for me. Yeah, Chessie, at this point, I'm going to be like 5 minutes behind the actual chat at this rate. I can't keep up with all the messages tonight. It's number 10. Oh, yeah, you do have one of those, don't you, Michael? Because I think you had one of those listed on eBay, one of those East Broad top 10-wheelers that Bachmann made. I don't think they make them with sound. It's weird. They don't make those 10-wheelers with sound installed anymore. They just do DCC ready for whatever reason. Probably to keep them cheaper, but I don't know. They should do sound production runs again so people don't have to install the sound decoders. Because I always prefer buying stuff with the sound directly installed because I'm just absolute garbage at doing decoder wiring. I literally lit the last one on fire that I did, so... And that was not intentional. Oh, the B&O 440. You're talking about the drivers on that. Okay. I have to go back and read what you said about that before now. Yeah, the drivers are a bit smaller, but the look will probably be reasonably close on the 999. Or replicating the 999 with the Bachmann 440. Holy smokes, my brain today. Awful. But yeah, I think that engine will do for a pretty decent stand-in, at least for the meantime. Anyway, just re-letter and put some new details on it, and it'll be close enough. It's just going to be pulling those Overtons that I bought anyway. Honestly, it would probably look better with the Bachmann 440 pulling Overtons like that than the 999s. The 999 is probably going to be like twice the size of Bachmann's tiny little 440. That'd be interesting to see if you can turn that N scale 460 into a or at 280. Wow, that N scale 280 into a 460 would be really cool to see. I think it would be a really good basis for 260 or 460. It would make for a really good 460 if you pulled the front drive wheel off of it. But it already looks pretty close to the Locomotive as is, even though it's a 280. It'd be interesting seeing if you could get that turned into a 460. And I really want to see the Cornwall train. I don't know if you made it, but it'd be really cool to see the Bachmann 460 turned into the Cornwall train because it has the tender needed for that Locomotive already. That'd be a really cool project to see. Actually, if I ever got my hands on the Bachmann hide boiler 460, I could just straight up repaint that and take the rods off like I did that 460 right there and make the Cornwall train. Just put a new stack and lamp on it. That'd actually be more ideal than turning a Tyco 460 into one again. I'll have to look into that now. There goes another $400 that I just said that I don't have more money to spend on models, but if I want it badly enough, I guess I'll spend $400 on another Spectrum engine. EBT number 3 was this 060. It's interesting. 060s are best for switching, though. And thank you, Word Entertainment. Yes, Crazy Spud. The main company that's owned by Cornwall in the video game, whose spoilers gets shot. after he dies, his railroad gets like consolidated into the main railroad in the original game called the Pacific Union Railroad, and they like repaint all of his rolling stock and engines into the Pacific Union Road name. But I'm representing the more that's like at the end of the game, so a lot of players don't even see that engine in livery. I'm going to represent the more known liveries on this layout, just so it's more familiar looking to most people that encounter the layout, which would be the Southern and Eastern and the Central Union Railroads. The 460 frame would be a good idea if you just shortened it down. Just cutting it down into a 260 because it's got that proper drive wheel spacing on it. And I was looking into that. I'm thinking if I do that Sierra 3, I saw somebody took styrene and like cut it out and like glued it on over the original counterweights. And they made accurate new counterweights for a Tyco 460. And my God, the counterweights almost changed the model. Like, I don't know how it made such a difference, but just putting the proper counterweights and replacing the old crescent-shaped ones made the Tyco 460 look so much better. That would probably work on your Glenbrook that you're working on, Michael. And I know it would definitely improve my Tyco 460s as well. So I'm going to have to look into trying to make decent-looking counterweights out of styrene for the drivers. To replace those just weird crescent ones. I don't know why they went with the weird crescent ones. All right. See what's next. EBT had 26 locomotives. Is EBT a short line? Like a really short line? I'm assuming it was, because if it was, then 26 is pretty impressive for a short line like that. Rio Grande Western had 200. Yeah, that sounds about right for DNRG. Narrow gauge division, anyway. Yeah, the Rio Grande had a massive steam roster in their heyday there. And they had a lot of trackage for a narrow gauge company. I think they're like the epitome of narrow gauge American railroading right there. Oh yeah, you told me you were waiting on the LEDs. Yeah, I'm surprised you got all the parts that quickly, that you have like the decoders and everything for those projects. I think that only took like 2 days to get to you, the parts you ordered. I look forward to seeing how those engines are going to be when they're done. Obviously, there's no rush on them. I don't need them in any specific time, obviously. But I do look forward to seeing how they're done. And I just thought about this. I was going to email you about it. I don't know if I might have to order you another headlight for 473, because I don't think I ordered or sent you a close enough match for the tender headlight for 473. I may have to order you one and have it shipped to you, Michael. Or maybe we could just leave it off, because honestly, it doesn't bother me if 473 doesn't have a backup headlight. But we can talk more about that privately in emails, though. Oh, yeah, and you did sell one. I thought I saw one on eBay. Yeah, the Bachmann consolidations are really nice. The HO ones, and I'm sure the N-scale ones are really nice, too. They've always been really solid engines from my personal experience. Hello there, GBW dude. That custom Rivarossi 440 is amazing that you did there, Red Oak. You did a really good job on that engine. Cornwall's private train, it would be a really cool thing to model. The coaches would be pretty easy, too, because I looked at them. You could just use the roundhouse Overland coaches and just repaint them blue and then put like a white pinstripe down the center and just put the name Cornwall at the top of it. They're really simple. I actually bought some B&O coaches to use for that, and then I'm like, oh, I really don't want to desecrate these coaches that are like really hard to find Overland B&O ones. So I ended up selling those. I'm just going to re-custom paint a couple other ones to represent them. Yeah, I don't think anybody will ever be unhappy with more content coming from you, Red Oak. Sumter Valley I've never really even heard of, to be honest. When did I hear about it recently? Actually, I don't know if it was you. It might have been you talking about it on one of Michael's streams. No, I've heard of, no, it was before that. Sumter Valley, though, it does have some pretty cool equipment. Definitely is an underrated line. You hardly see anyone talking about it. Most of the American narrow gauge conversations are dominated by Denver and Rio Grande Western, and honestly, mostly Denver and Rio Grande Western, and any of the equipment that they currently have in the Nevada Museum. Oh, you're going to use the MDC drivers. Okay. That would definitely be better than the Sierra 3s just because of the counterweight discrepancy that I mentioned. IHC Pacifics. I think Michael did a video on those. If I remember correctly, he did a review of like a Canadian Pacific ones. I think it's like the exact same tooling except a different wheelbase for the 282 I sent him to work on the DNS 482. I hope that that Arbor kit works out for you, Andy, because I've heard those are a nightmare to assemble for just various reasons. They really need to get a model of number 3 made, like a proper one, because it's just absurd that we have like 7 different people making big boys, which, you know, is a bit of an exaggeration, but still, most of the manufacturers are making the same big boys and 844s and whatever over and over again. But, you know, we had smaller engines just not even getting anything. It's just sad. It's sad. Yeah, I'll have to look into the East Broad top. Oh, okay. Streamline Backshop. I've never heard from them before. I primarily get all my... I don't order decoders. They don't do the works. I don't know where else to get decoders. But when I order parts for myself, it's almost exclusively through eBay. And usually through eBay, it's through the post office, which takes, you know, like eons to get here now. But, yeah, but I have noticed when I get stuff from like UPS, this is why I love Train World, ordering from Train World, because you can select your shipper. And I always get UPS through Train World now because I literally get stuff within 2 days from New York. And I'm in Michigan. And it's just absurdly quick. Yeah, I heard that those had some pretty questionable materials in those Arbor models. And thank you, Train Stuff. I think I'm finally catching up. No, I'm not catching up. Oh, shoot. Okay, I'll look forward to seeing that email there, Michael, in regards to the headlights. I forgot I was going to have to order another one for the tender backup light, and I just totally forgot. As you can see, I'm absolutely scatterbrained tonight, as is, so. Spectrum Vanderbilts. Those Spectrum Vanderbilt tenders are pretty cool. My layout is set. It's supposed to be set in 1899, like from Red Dead Redemption train stuff. That doesn't stop me from running more modern equipment. Like, I literally have a diesel right off camera right now that was built in the 40s. But I try to keep 19th century dominant on this layout. And for the most part, it has been. I think I'd say 3/4 of my collection are models built before 1900. A lot of Bachmann 440s, a lot of Athearn old time 280s and 260s. Yeah. Then I have a custom Red Dead 460 that's just been in like developmental hell because I still have yet to repaint the whole thing. The tender came out fine for the Red Dead 460. The boiler, I'm not at all happy with. The finish on it just looks god awful. The boiler bands I painted on don't look very good. I'm gonna try and get some Tamiya spray paints and repaint the Red Dead 460's boiler and see how that turns out. Because that's what's holding the project up, besides basic finance issues. But I need to totally repaint that entire 460. The boiler, anyway. The tender, I think, is salvageable, but the tender, or the boiler, yeah, the tender is salvageable. Boiler needs a repaint completely, because I do not like how it looks. It looks crude. And I'm not happy to have a model like that running around on my layout if I don't think it's up to standard. South Pacific Coast. I was reading about that a while ago as well. They have some. I think they ran 440s, like those 818Cs, which is what the Eureka is from the Eureka and Palisade. That's a pretty cool, obscure narrow gauge line. There's another one. There's like a sister railroad of that called North Pacific Coast as well, I think. I'd have to look into that again, double check to make sure. But I'm pretty sure there was a North Pacific Coast sister line as well. Iron Planet Hobbies is a good place too. I've bought from them before. Yeah, I'd imagine that would take a lot of filing on an old metal kit like that for CR3, Andy. Yeah, logging engines were kind of scarce too. I think the only Bachmann is redoing the Spectrum chase, thank God, with new gearing, double thank God, with the new metal gearing. So hopefully there won't be any issues with those 3 truck shays. I'm probably gonna. I know I've said 3 times tonight. I'm trying to limit my spending on the hobby. I'm trying to keep my models down to like 20 models at once, like concurrent models. But I'm already considering wanting to pick up the red shade that they're releasing. Things like Pickering Lumber Company. I really want that red shay so bad. I might end up breaking down and spending like $500 on it whenever that comes out. God, model railroading. You think you're done collecting, and then you like impulse buy 3 more models within like 10 minutes just after seeing them. It's crazy. But it's still an awesome hobby. N-scale Steam is definitely finicky. That's why I got out of this N-scale Steam hobby, besides space issues. They're so annoying to work on. The valve gearing was annoying to work on. All of it was annoying to work on. What do I like more, N-scale or HO-N3? HO-N30, sorry. HO-N30 probably because it's a bit bigger than N-scale, and you don't have to fiddle around with all the tiny aspects of N-scale, which I just have no interest in doing anymore. Lincoln pin couplers. I don't want to even try to think about how Lincoln pin couplers would work in HO scale. I would need like tweezers to couple every single car and uncouple them, and the pins would be so small. I saw somebody on YouTube demonstrate them a long time ago, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool for accuracy. Never going to happen on any of my railroads. Even if I modeled like the 1860s where there were no knuckle couplers. I couldn't do with coupling every single car like that, ever. Did I catch up with... Oh my God! I caught up with the chat. Where's the whistle? Let's blow a whistle. It's caught up with chat. Oh my God. I thought I would never catch up with that tonight. That was so bad. I've never gotten so buried in comments before on here before. It's like at work, when I get buried at work and you can't get out from being buried. Oh my God. Yeah, HO-N3 is the same track size as N-Gauge. Which is inaccurate. Well, no. It's 30-inch. That's 30-inch trackage in HO scale, which they did have. I live near where the Shea was invented by Ephraim Shea, and he had a railroad called the Hemlock Central, which was 30-inch gauge, where he ran his personal Shea locomotive that he named Baby. I think I actually have a picture of that locomotive somewhere. Actually, I'm going to go get that photo real quick. It'll only take a second. I have photos of the railroad that ran up here. All right, we are getting into the lore of Ephraim Shea and his Shea locomotives. Get ready. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, Ephraim Shea had his own narrow gauge railroad in Harbor Springs, Michigan. He invented the Shea and ended up selling those designs to, I believe, Lima Locomotive Works of Ohio. He built his own narrow gauge Shea called Baby on the Hemlock Central in Harbor Springs, Michigan. That's the little Shea that he built. I always thought it was pretty interesting. Hello there, rail fanner. I'm trying to convert to the religion of that is Shea. Shays are really cool locomotives. I actually have another picture here of the Hemlock Central. Looks like it's pushing a bunch of tourists on a car there. And that was 30-inch gauge, as opposed to 36-inch 3-foot gauge. I have a picture of a locomotive from the town I live in. Where is it? Oh, here's one. Here's a train wreck. Looks like a truck came off of the engine. Looks like the front pilot truck came off the engine. That's a wreck in my hometown. I don't know. If somebody in the chat knows, please let me know. I can't find any information on this, but who does this builder of this 260 look like? Because this was a logging 260. I think they used it for yard work, more or less. I've seen a few pictures of it hauling logs, though. I don't know who built this. I don't think it's Baldwin, though. It doesn't. Because I looked at the Baldwin catalogs that are online. I couldn't really find a match for that. I don't think it's Cook either. Oh, God. I couldn't imagine trying to replace those gears, Michael, on those 260s. That would be... I heard those were a nightmare. I bought one that already had the gear conversion done, and then I sold it because I just didn't really use it much. But yeah, I couldn't imagine wanting another one after dealing with the hassle of that. Lima. Yeah, I didn't think it was Baldwin. It didn't look like Baldwin. Lima would make sense. I'll have to look at the Lima locomotives. I don't know who built this one either. I know that some were built in the home shops of the Grand Rapids and Indiana Railroad. Because the railroad that went through my town was Grand Rapids and Indiana. It was later bought out by Pennsylvania in 1918. Let me find that other engine. It's a little 260. Yeah. This 260. I'm not sure who manufactured that 260. That might actually be Baldwin. Or actually, no, it might be Schenectady. The domes look like it might be Schenectady. I can't find any information on these photos except for whoever built this. Where's the picture at? Except for whoever built this Heisler right here. This photo says this Heisler was built by... Doesn't say actually who built it, but this Heisler was in the town as well. Oh, Heisler was a company? So they built the engines that they named. Okay. That would make sense why it doesn't have the builder on it then. It says this one was built in 1903, though. Brand new for the company. Anyway, though, that's enough of my personal railroad stuff. Get out of here. Oh, I'm a bit of a town local historian. I've been collecting like hundreds of photographs of the town I live in for the past like 3 years, so I know quite a bit about the local region. I've tried modeling the local railroads, and I got like too obsessively fixated on accuracy, and I just gave up on it because I'd rather have fun with like a fictional Western railroad than get like ruin the hobby for myself with burnout trying to perfectly replicate my town's logging and passenger railroads. Heisler built fireless locomotives. Oh, I've seen those fireless locomotives. Those things are so goofy looking. Those and I've seen conversion kits for the Bachmann 060 to make like little fireless 060s on eBay too. Those engines are hilarious looking. It's almost as funny. I don't know if anyone's seen it before, but some logging company took a 260, scrapped the tender, and then they put like a diesel motor or like a actually it might have been like a Ford truck motor. I think it was some sort of Ford truck motor, and they put it in a 260 with like a bunch of weird gearing all over it. They took the Walschaerts valve gear off and put literally like chain gears on the outside of this industrial 260 and used it as a switcher with a diesel motor inside it. It is hilarious. I wish I could pull up like Google on my live streams because I would show the engine that I'm talking about, but I'm sure if you Google it, you'd find it. It is hilarious. I only saw it like twice before, and that was like back when I think I was on Facebook, which is like at least 5 years ago. I haven't seen that engine in 5 years. Wow. But anyway, yeah. I'm sure you can find it if you look for it. Baldwin made narrow gauge climaxes. Baldwin did a lot of builds. That wouldn't shock me if they made logging engines like that too. Baldwin was kind of like the big manufacturer. I don't think any other company really could come close to the output of Baldwin, especially at its peak. You know, like what? Like I'd say they probably peaked in like around 1900 or so. A lot of the manufacturers got consolidated around then, while Baldwin continued to build its name up. You know, like Schenectady became part of Alco and whatnot. I think Rogers got consolidated. I don't know who bought out Rogers, but they were might have actually been Alco as well. I'd have to look into it. I'm getting way off topic though. Heisler did build locomotives. Oh, that's cool. Wabtec is now working in a Heisler factory. Because I know that Shea built a few of his own Shays. He had his own machine shops in Harbor Springs, and they were turning out Shays in Harbor Springs, Michigan. But he ended up selling the patents or something, or he allowed Lima to build the Shays after that. And then I think Lima was like the primary manufacturer of Shays after that. I don't think they were the only Shay manufacturers, but they were the primary source of the Shay locomotives after Shay himself was making them. Yeah, it wouldn't shock me, Baldwin Made a lot of those experimental engines like that. They had a lot of experimental engines. I've seen Climax Locomotive. I think Climax was its own company as well. Now you think about it, or say it, because now that I think about it, I have seen locomotives with the name Climax, like the company name on the locomotive for like builders' photos for catalogs. So I'm assuming Climax and Heisler were both their own companies producing their own locomotives at one point. Oops. Okay. Entire somebody sent the order to the wrong place company. Oh wow. My favorite manufacturer is either got to be Rogers for obvious reasons, number 3, or Mason Machine Works turned out the most beautiful locomotives I've ever seen in my life. The Mason locomotives are like, hold on, I have a Mason thing. I have an Avon thing here. Mason turned out the absolute most beautiful locomotives ever. Like this Mason bogie here, which is incredibly dusty. Ew. Get back on the shelf. But the Mason locomotives, I think, were like the absolute pinnacle of steam manufacturers, especially in the 1850s and 60s. Absolute beautiful machines. They put artistry into the machines back then. Just, I loved it. I loved the old Victorian ornate nature of those steam engines back then. All right. Does anybody have any engines they want to see? Because I have not ran a train in like 15 minutes now. I think number 20 here has been running since like the first half hour exclusively of this stream. So if anybody has any specific locomotives they want to see run, let me know. I think I'm going to get some other engines out. The Jupiter, diesel and Jupiter. All right. I have a diesel on the layout. I'll get number 20 pulled forward, and I'll run the diesel, and then I'll run the Jupiter after the diesel, because the diesel's already on the layout. I would double head them, but I don't think I have them speed matched, and I don't really want to have to deal with it, because the diesel is a Rapido switcher, and those are geared to run really slow for switching, while the Jupiter, like, flies as soon as you put the first notch into it on speed step 1. All right, let's get number 20 off the tracks. Oh, Jupiter. I'll get the Jupiter on in a minute. Oh. All right, we're gonna run a diesel. Oof. Okay, let's change the camera so we can see a little diesel coming through. Oh, I switched the points wrong. Crap. We'll pretend that the finger of God did not just come down and switch the tracks, and that the tracks switched themselves. The gearing on these Rapido 44 tonners are almost as slow as some of the logging locomotives I've owned before. It's crazy how slow these things are. Maybe I'll pick up those Durango cars for the pull. All right. Come on, get going. Oh, it looks like Dutch Vanderland died. Dutch Vanderland is no more now. Hello there, James from St. Louis. How does the first production run of those 44 tonners run? I heard some of those old ones were really like they even had like gearing issues on the old 44 tonners as well. Alrighty, Red Oak. Should be streaming for about another hour, so. I really want to do another live stream playing video games, but I physically can't because I'm using a PS4 controller right now, which doesn't have a built-in mic, and I don't have a separate mic to use with the controller, so I just don't have the ability to do video game live streams right now. Yeah, I could run that 260 Chessie. Lumbago. Uncle, speaking of lumbago, there's Uncle right there at the hotel from the game. Right there. Your favorite destitute. $260 in the Jupiter. We need to get the 260 in Jupiter running. Okay. I always like that scene in Red Dead where John kicks Uncle in the back, particularly the lower back, after he uses the lumbago excuse. That was so funny. When Uncle was making fun of John, said, "You don't build a barn, dumbass. What do you think this is, 1789?" I'm gonna give the diesel a break, even though I literally not even ran in a full lap. What do we want? The 260 and the Jupiter, right? I'm going to do the 260 first because the Jupiter was requested first. Then we're going to get the Rio Grande Mogul out. I'm not sure what I want to have the Jupiter pull. Let me look around. I want to see what I can pull with the Jupiter. I always pull the same things with this car. I need to find some new cars to pull with it. I'll give it a coach. We'll just pull a single combination coach. So why not? Where's the Jupiter? All right, let's look at the chat. Hope you have a good night there, Andy. Glad to see you in the live stream again, though. I have a point. Oh, I can't do Dutch's voice. I was about to try, and I'm not even going to try to do it. But him screaming, I have a plan, and mangoes and farming in Tahiti will always be hilarious to me. Crazy Spud, are you talking about the 440? Because these Bachmann 440s do have some issues with them. I'm just shocked something that bad would be an issue with it, though. The issues I've had with these are some of them have really, really bad gearing problems, and I'm not going to go into that because I'll just get worked up, getting annoyed about the gearing issues some of these 440s have. But you would think for them to charge like $250 now for one of these, you would get something a bit better quality. How to get rich and then stop collecting. Yeah, exactly, Chessie. If I stopped spending money on trains, I would be a lot better off financially right now. But no, I prefer to nuke all my money on trains because trains are cool. Spent way too much money on the Durango and Silverton collection lately. And it's going to be a lot more money to redo all the track and light all these buildings up and all that. And I want to put a tunnel in on the other end of the layout. I want to put Cornwall, kerosene, and tar from the game over there. I'm going to try and put Ansburg in on the other side. See how that goes. I just hope I have much of a savings left after that. 44 tonner. Oh, that sucks. It sucks that it had an issue like that. I thought mine was broken. I thought I did break mine when I got that 44 tonner because it made this god awful noise when I put it on the track, and I thought I had shorted it out, and then it never did that sound again. It works fine now. But Rapido has been having some real hit and misses lately, though. I've heard a lot of people have been buying their engines and it'd be like parts blown off of it from shipping, which my 44 tonner was missing its ladder steps or whatever off the backside of it, and I had to re-glue them back on. And I heard there's other issues like that. But they still are a very good company, though. They don't have as bad of a track record as, say, Broadway Limited. We're going to go into this story again. But for those who don't know, I spent $600 some on their E6 442 Atlantic, Pennsylvania locomotive. Obviously, it has sound and smoke in it. I waited a week for it to get here because I ordered it from... Actually, I got it off eBay. I didn't get it from Train World. I got it from eBay. It took a week to get here because U.S. Post Office generally sucks now. And I was so excited. It was like an hour before I had to go to work. So I'm like, oh, God. Oh, cool. I get to run this train before I go to work. That's so cool. I put the thing on the tracks. I turn the power on. And immediately I hear and then the train, like it was like a dying animal. It was horrible. It makes that horrible sound, and then I hear like a click sound, and then I smell smoke. I'm like, oh my God, it just shorted itself out. And I go and look at it, and sure enough, it burned itself out brand new out of box. I'm like, wow. I've heard some things about Broadway Limited before, but I wasn't expecting to, get screwed over by them with my first purchase from them like that. And I immediately returned it, and I will not buy another Broadway product again because I keep seeing reviews and YouTube videos of people talking about them having the exact same things: engines burning out and decoder failures and smoke units melting the boilers and smoke boxes of engines. I mean, it's just not worth it. The smoke features is not worth burning up an engine, and the decoders that they put in there. To be frank, the decoders, the Paragon decoders suck. They should just outsource it at this point to like Tsunami would even be better, or preferably ESU Lock Sound or TCS Wow Sound, who's my favorite manufacturer of decoders now, is TCS. I just don't understand the hype with Broadway Limited. I mean, their engines are beautiful, don't get me wrong. They do a really good job detailing them. But to spend $600, immediately have the engine burn out like that, and a slew of other known issues with them, like with the decoders and smoke units, like I said, it just doesn't seem worth the money. Not when I can get like similar engines from other manufacturers for like half the price. It's just not worth it. But that's my rant anyway on Broadway Limited. They seem like a nice company. I've seen their videos with their employees and everything. They seem like nice folks. It seems like a good company, but their models, in my experience, just not good. I just yapped so long that I got behind on chat again. Hopefully the 280 still runs good for you. I gave it a good test run right before I boxed it up for you, Dakota, and it was running fine when I had it. So it should be running just fine. And I pack up those engines really good, so there shouldn't be any issues with it getting damaged en route shipping. So it should be good to go. But let me know anyway. Feel free to shoot me a message on eBay if you want, or comment on one of my posts. Just to let me know how the engine is when you get it, though. Oh, and I should mention, I don't know if I put it on the listing or if I messaged you, but it's not programmed to CV3, which is the default program address number. It's programmed to its cab number 35. So to operate the locomotive, you have to input 35 and is the DCC address to run the locomotive. So cab number is the DCC address, but that might actually already be in the listing. I just can't remember off the top of my head if I put the DCC address on it to run it with on there. That's good that you got the engine running again. Sucks when model trains don't work like that. It just kind of ruins the hobby a bit, but once you get it running again, then the hobby is just fantastic. That would definitely save you money to build your own, especially if you 3D print your locomotives and rolling stock. I haven't been running trains much for this live stream. I just realized that. Let's get the Jupiter up and running. Shouldn't be too hard to put DCC in the 44-tonner. Standard rail. Yeah, rail fanner. I think the engines on their own are fine. They look beautiful. But it's the decoders and the smoke units that really screw those models, which is sad. I think they need to just ditch Paragon because the sounds just are so outdated. The sounds in a lot of those Paragon models sounds like sounds you get out of engines from like 2000, like 2004, 5, 6, 7, like the early days of DCC sound. They're not up to par with what Soundtracks and Lock Sound and especially TCS Wow Sound are up to now. I stand by and personally think TCS is the best that you can get in your engine. Personally, I just think they sound the most realistic. But Lock Sound is equally just as good, and I think Tsunami is also a very good alternative as well. I just personally, my main issue with Tsunami is that I think Tsunami's chuff rates sound a bit repetitive after a while, and they have a bit of a clipping issue on some of their whistles. whereas like ESU has a lot better chuff sounds, as they do something with like I don't know how to describe it, but their chuffs are like they're not the same repetitive sounds. They like change up the sounds with every chuff, so it sounds realistic. Which is why I will always be preferential to using Wow Sound. Yeah, they're Paragon. Their stealth models, I think, would probably be worth buying if you can get them for reasonable prices. Like I said, the Broadway Limited engines, they can be very beautiful pieces. They are very detailed. They are not lacking in details at all. But their decoders and smoke units are more trouble than they're worth, especially at like $600 price tags. And some of their models are like up to $900. I'm not going to risk spending $900 on a model, which I think is pretty absurd for an HO engine to begin with. That's ready to roll. To spend $900 like that on a ready to roll engine. But I'm not gonna spend $900 on an engine and have it blow its freaking decoder as soon as you put it on the tracks. It's just stupid. They need to have better quality control. That should have been caught at the factory, honestly, because they're supposed to test engines like that at the factory before they ship them to the consumer, so that doesn't happen. But obviously, it does happen, and rather frequently as well, sadly. Run number 3. All right, number 3 I'll run after the 260 because I had requests to run the Mogul after the Jupiter. And then I'll get number 3. I'll have number 3 pull the new shorty coach I've been working on. Okay, that's good, Dakota, that you figured it would be the cab number, road number would be the address. Most of my engines are, except for the really long 4-digit ones, because I don't think this controller I have is capable of programming 4-digit numbers, but luckily that consolidation was number 35, so it does have its cab number on it. Yeah, I would definitely, if I had an engine with a smoke unit, it would be getting the smoke turned off or cut from the decoder immediately. Not worth it. Especially like the Bachmann 060, those literally melt the smokestacks. Those cheap Bachmann 060 train set 060s. I've seen a lot of those stacks melted, and personally, I've had one stack melted from it because there's smoke is just generally not worth it in HO scale. I'll just leave it at that because I can go on a literal tangent on my opinions of smoke units. But I will say that Red Oak has been working, I think he mentioned in a comment, he has been working on an alternative smoke unit for HO scale that he's used on G scale engines. And I do anticipate seeing how he makes that work out. But the current market smoke units are not worth most engines in the long run. Just because of how they work and how the smoke ends up looking anyway. Yeah, it is more or less a gimmick. You don't really need it. And honestly, the oil-based smokes aren't even worth it because they just coat your layout with a disgusting, grimy layer of oil. And if you don't buy the basic, or not basic, sorry, if you don't buy like the special smoke fluids that have like scents, like the, what's it called? JT's Mega Steam. I'm looking at a bottle right now. If you don't buy their like scented smoke fluids, it just smells nasty too. It's just not worth it. I don't think smoke is worth it. Did Lionel make a $900? I don't know if Lionel is a $900 HO scale engine, but I know their HO scale stuff's definitely overpriced. And their O scale stuff is disgustingly priced. I like the old Lionel stuff. I have an old Lionel 080 switcher, but I won't buy any of their new stuff though. It's just overpriced and the quality's dropping with these new Lionel releases. I just can't support that anymore. Which is sad because Lionel is such a really cool company. They had really solidly built toy trains. And, their models are good, but the old 50s toys, I'm going to call them toys, because the older ones are not super detailed. Therefore, in my opinion, the older 50s stuff are toys. I'm not talking about their hybrid brass lines right now. Those are models. But I really love the charm of the old Lionel toys, and they've lost that charm, to be honest. In my opinion, they just don't have it anymore. They went way too cheap with their products and quality-wise, and then they jacked up the prices. Which is, as far as I know, their prices are, outpacing inflation and whatever other excuses they could have at the moment. And the quality is not represented in a lot of the prices of these models that Lionel makes now. And it's not just Lionel, it's a lot of manufacturers now. Yeah, I can't justify spending $900. The only time I would spend a lot of money, I'm not going to say how much it costs, is a lot of money. I'm only going to spend that much money on one model, and that's the Sierra Railway 28. And that's because it's being essentially rebuilt from the ground up and customized by a feller who has experience to do it. This is the only time I'm going to spend a large amount of money like that on a model. Other than that, I would not ever spend more than, again, on a model that's over $500. It's not worth it. Not in today's economy. Yeah, it would be cool if Red Oak made it. He really should. I don't know if he's watching the stream right now, but he's been doing a really good job with commissions. I seriously think he could make a good living if he wanted to, doing custom commissions with model trains and stuff like that, custom sound and electronics installs, custom locomotives. Because he does a really good job. That would be a really good thing for him to do if he could do something like that. Customs and upgrades and stuff like that, because there is a market for that stuff. Because all the other customs, before I had him do my last number 3, I tried to have a few other engines done up by other people, and they were booked up for months, and it was hard to get those customs done. I think he would be a really good person. He would benefit a lot from doing custom work right now, on a larger scale than what he's doing at the moment that I'm aware of. I know he's doing 2 for me. I believe there's someone in chat that just mentioned that they have projects for him to upgrade right now. And I know a few other people that approached him for projects as well on the video where he was discussing my model of Sierra 3. There's a ton of Mantua. I believe that's how it's... I saw somebody in that video try to say it's pronounced Mantua. I don't know if it's Mantua or Mantua. I'm just going to say Mantua. But, yeah, those models there's a lot of them on eBay right now. Sometimes you can get a good deal on them, but most of them are $80, which is, to me, wildly overpriced for such an ancient model. With how crappy they run out of the box, usually. They need a CAN motor to run decent. But if you can get a good deal on those on eBay for less than $30-$40, I'd say jump on it immediately. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with people that like having smoke in their smoke units in their locomotives, Jesse. But I personally just don't see the Personally, I don't see the benefits of them on my layout, because I would just get the MTH Wanderer. I'll use this as an example. The MTH Wanderer put out so much smoke in my room that after 5 minutes of running it, I had to open my windows and leave my room, because the smoke output on that 440 was so much that I could not breathe after 5 minutes. It was nuts. And after that, it literally coated everything in the vicinity of the tracks that I was running that 440 on with that greasy oil residue. And it was just, to me, it's not worth it. You got to clean up everything. It gets everywhere. And without the specifically scented smoke units, it just stinks. And gives me a headache, personally. But, that's just me, though. Other people certainly have the right to enjoy smoke units, because it can be a cool feature for engines. But personally, to me, I think the cons of smoke units on locomotives outweigh the pros. But that's just me, though. Chessie, you could do commissions for him, right? I'm assuming he probably can do a commission for you right now if you email him or message him or leave a comment on any of his stuff. He's doing commissions right now, as far as I'm aware. Because, like I said, I have commissions for him right now, and I have a few other engines planned to ship to him later when I have the money to have those done upgraded. But yeah, if you just get in touch with him, I'm sure he'll do any commissions within reason that you want him to do. You would have to talk with him about it, though. But I'm sure if you wanted right now to, he will do commissions for you. And hello there, Wyatt Fives. I see you have Rio Grande as your icon for your profile. That's cool. We have some Rio Grande stuff on the layout right now. We're gonna put that Rio Grande 260 on now because somebody requested that, and I think Jupiter has been running more than enough now. The straight stack Tyco, $70. That's too much. I don't think those Tyco engines have any business going over at most like $50. They're ancient tooling. They're oversized. They need a lot of work to get them to run efficiently and properly. And I think it's honestly just not worth $80. It's not worth anything over $50 unless you have like harder to find variants like the Hooterville Cannonball or whatever variants they had like that available. They did a bunch of specialty ones. I just don't think they're worth over $50 usually, for the most part. I really don't. We're going to run a freight train. We haven't run a freight train all night. Get on the tracks. We're going to run a freight train. Let's run some box cars. Get on the tracks. There you go. Okay. All right, I just got to go find a caboose and go get this train going. We'll run a little tiny goofy. We're going to run this train with a tiny little goofy bobber caboose for the Rio Grande because it's hilarious. This already looks really cursed behind these taller box cars, but I really don't care. Just get on the coupling. Come on. Here we go. All right. We're going to run our Mogul now, and then we're going to run Sierra 3. What cab number is this? 527. Let's change the camera view a bit. Oh, you can see my 8 million freight cars I have on a shelf over there. There we go. All right, chat. Yeah. If you run a bunch of locomotives like that, people might think your house is on fire or something with all the smoke coming out. Especially if they're MTH units, because those MTH smoke units, wow. Yeah, and I heard Railfanner. I've seen that some places, I've seen some train shows that have straight up banned smoke units because they would fill the room up with smoke, and then when the guests would arrive to the train shows, they would get like essentially smoked out of the room because it would be so bad. So I can see why they have that ban on the smoke units. Yeah, money is definitely a factor. You definitely need engines to be worked on to have them to be worked on, as well. It's crazy, Spud. You can buy the straight stack for that locomotive part. They have parts for that on eBay that they sell separately. So you could buy like a balloon stack variant if it's dirt cheap, or like a model that's missing its stack, because a lot of those models have the stacks break off and they're relisted without the stack. They have the specific straight stack for sale that you would need to make a modern Sierra 3. You might be able to find resources specific to rebuilding model train motors online, especially on YouTube. That's how I learned how to do a lot of stuff for this layout. The scenery, the painting. I learned almost everything I know currently about trains from YouTube, and a few old timers as well that I used to know that were in the hobby. They taught me a lot of stuff about like weathering stuff. Yeah, most of the I've personally never had any real issues with like toxic foamers or toxic boomers in the hobby. Most of the people from the hobby that I've met have been very pleasant. But I know that's not always the case. But I think that people really should be respectful and friendly to others in the hobby. Luckily, I've never had any real issue with any toxicity. I hope it really stays that way too. But yeah, a lot of the old timers I knew, they had a lot of knowledge about the hobby that I learned quite a bit from, and I am grateful for that as well. Wow. I'm sure those are auto racks got to be pretty heavy. Those are modern cars. Yeah, I was shocked that that engine could pull as many cars as it was. For such a little tiny 280 and for the layout size, that was like 3/4 of the layout that it was pulling cars on. I'm stunned it pulled that much. Has anybody seen the there's one on eBay for $9.95. Oh, that's wow. Is it an auction, Crazy Spud? That number 3 is $9.95 on? Because if not, that's a really good deal unless it's like a worn out, dilapidated 460. Chessie, this is the 260, unless you're referencing the other Roundhouse 260, which I can put that Roundhouse one on as well. Wow. 45 cars for an N-scale 280 is nuts. I wonder how much... I had the 280, the Bachmann 280, mine maxed out pulling all the cars that I have for the Durango and Silverton and the last live stream, which was like 15 or 16 cars. But anymore, and it started wheel slipping though. Yeah, it's either got to be an auction or it's got to be worn out. The last one I bought that was cheap was like $25, which became the number 3. And the number 3 that I bought that was $25 was completely coated in dust and was the most disgusting cigarette smell on earth. Was all over it. Whoever owned that model must have had it in their house, like in storage or something, and were like smoking in the house because it reeked of cigarette smells and it was just coated in a thick layer of dust. And I had to tear that whole model apart and like deep clean it, the entire thing, with like dish soap. It was nasty. I'm surprised that it came out being as good of an engine that it did at the end, though. The new 260. I can run the new 260. No, the RGS engine I have is a 460. The 460. This is the custom 260 that I produced, or didn't produce, that I kit bashed. I changed out the Rio Grande Southern 460 like half an hour ago, I'd say. I'll get the new 260 out. Then I'll run Sierra 3 with those new cars I've been working on. Where is it? Oh, I gotta take that off of it. There we go. I had to take a stack off of it because I was testing out a spark arrestor on the 260. It would have just fallen off if I didn't take it off. All right, here's the Ather Mogul. You know what? I think I'm going to put some extra cars on this because I think it can handle it. Let me see. We're going to run a longer freight train. All right, what wheel ain't on the tracks? We're going to give it a caboose that doesn't look comically small for the consist. I don't know if anyone can hear, but I have the Red Dead Redemption idle music in the background. I'm honestly shocked that my PlayStation hasn't auto-turned itself off yet. I'm being idle for so long. Here we go. See if this little 260 can handle this. Crazy Spud, the headlight for the Sierra 3, they actually have it. It's called a Lima Arc Light, I believe. Yeah, Lima Arc Light. They make on eBay, you can find it for like $5, the proper headlight for a modern Sierra 3 by Precision Scale Company. It's called a Lima Arc headlight. And that's exactly what you need for that locomotive if you custom build a Sierra 3 out of the Tyco model. Oh, and Red Oak's back. Welcome back. You're just in time to see the Athearn 260 running, and after that, we're going to get number 3 to spin. I forgot what number this thing is. 940? Oh, I hope that mine doesn't. None of mine do that. That would suck if one of my freaking wheels went out of quarter on me because of that. Yeah, I'll have to keep that in mind, Michael. That would suck if that happened with one of these engines. Which one did it happen on? Was it your Bumblebee one, or I hope it wasn't the B&O one. We're going to do some more camera. There we go. We can see a bit more now. Oh, I don't think anybody's seen. I have a new car that makes pig sounds. That's a Rio Grande one. I'll put it on when the train comes back through. Oh, that sucks that it was the Westport one. That's the wood burner one you had, right? With the diamond stack that you repainted. That was a really cool livery you put on that wood burner one. It sucks. Well, at least you'll be able to get that one running again. I'm still waiting on to see which one of my engines die out on me first, because the oldest engine I have is that Elco 260. I bought that brand new in 22, and that one's starting to show its age now. I service it frequently, and I like to service my engines at least once a month. And it's starting to show its age now. It's starting to get the lower running speeds are getting a bit janky with it. So I'm assuming that within the next year or so, it's probably going to wear out, and I'll just have to get another mechanism for it. But I'm going to keep running that 260 until it wears out, though. That's the wrong stock car. Where are you? This one makes, like, demonic pig sounds. And I'm not kidding. Like, I bought this stock car, and the pigs sound like little demons or something. It's kind of terrifying. Oh, there it goes. Come on, couple. All right, can anyone hear the demonic pig sounds? It'd be interesting seeing what new livery you put on that engine. What did you have painted on it? Red? What? Oh God, my brain broke. What did you have painted? Cable. Try again. What livery style was painted? Was like red drivers. I think it had like a red cab, red domes, and maybe a red headlight. That's what I seem to remember. It reminded me of one of the Red Dead locomotives, honestly, with that livery. I personally, I'm indifferent to doing servicing on the models. I mean, it's just a necessity to have them keep running, right? There's a couple models that I hate working on because they make them annoying to service. But for the most part, I don't have much issues with keeping up on greasing the gears and oiling all the connecting and side rods and valve gear and everything. Demonic Pig sounds could be a band name. Well, the demonic pigs make a lot of like squealing noises once the train goes over 5 miles per hour. Oh, I haven't seen Ghostbusters in so long. I gotta watch that again. I gotta watch both of them. Parks and Recreations. I haven't seen that one in forever. I preferred Parks and Recreation over The Office, honestly. I gotta rewatch that one now again, too. Oh, I forgot this whistle has the horrible clipping sound. Maybe I should just change it. See if I can move the camera a bit. I remember the episode where they all went to Washington, and then they went to the Smithsonian, and then oh my God, his name is blanked on me because my brain just doesn't work tonight. I think it was Andy, right? I think Andy went to the Smithsonian, and they were like, "Oh, it's the Back to the Future train," and he's like talking about him, and then I'm watching. I'm like, oh, that's not the Back to the Future train. That's like Southern. That's like a Southern, like a. It's like it was some engine in the Southern's crescent green livery. I'm like, yeah, that's not the Back to the Future train. That's. Oh my god. I literally do that to everything I watch. I will nitpick every single inconsistency or issue with trains that I see in any show I watch ever. Southern 1401. Okay, I thought it was one of those Southern crescent green engine locomotives. I'll have to see what that 123. I'll have to see what that one sounds like. Yeah, I figured. Oh, and hello there, the Norse guy. Yeah, I figured that he was obviously, not being serious with that, or I realized it was a joke, but like I'm just saying though, like in general, I will literally notice that you're like I will watch a movie with somebody, and if there's like train stuff going on, I will be a real-time fact check for the entire train scene. It's I just get so OCD with some of the stuff. Like the Lone Ranger, I like nuked that movie when I watched it with like every inaccuracy and inconsistency in that movie. As an example. Oh yeah, I remember he tried to climb on it too. Oh yeah, Lone Ranger is like, what's the word? It's like eye bleach for anybody that has even the slightest knowledge of trains to watch. The couplers, the couplers are like nightmare fuel. The couplers are like set up like this. If anybody hasn't seen it, how knuckle coupler. How do I do this on screen? I can't get my hands to do it. Okay. So obviously knuckle couplers catch like that, like hands. For some reason it was like a fist and like clamped down like this in the movie. I don't know how to describe it. The couplers in that movie were the most horrible things I've seen in my life. It was bad. And then the engines were obviously like based on like the Rivarossi, Casey Jones, and I think the Jupiter was like based on the Bell of the 80s or something. Or the Jupiter was the MTH Jupiter, is what they based it on. They based it on the MTH Jupiter, which was the MTH Jupiter was a repaint of the NYC 999 in turn. So it was incredibly inaccurate representation of the Jupiter. And then the cars were missing components that were needed on them, and yeah, I'm not going to go any further into it because I will literally tear that movie to shreds on its inaccuracies on the trains alone. Atomic Train. I've heard of it, but haven't watched it. Maybe I'll do myself the extreme displeasure in watching it, if it's that bad. I'll have to check that out. Unstoppable was... I don't know. There's a lot of inaccuracies with Unstoppable. A lot of people seem to love that movie, though. I think it's okay. I don't think it's, horrible, but I don't think it's as good as people say it is either, though. Wild Wild West. I think Wild Wild West was only salvageable because of the William Mason and the Reno and the J.W. Bowker engines in that movie. The rest of it was... It's funny. So the movie was funny in some aspects, but I can see why it was an absolute bomb. It was all over the place, and a lot of the jokes. Some of them were funny, but a lot of them didn't seem to land right, and... I can see why people didn't like it, but I think it also got horribly overhated as well. I think it's just like a mid-movie. It's a basic cheesy 90s comedy. It's like Men in Black in the Old West, but not executed as well. And then they kind of just squandered half of the cast in it as well. Yeah, I can run number 3 now. I didn't watch any of the Thomas stuff after the original series. The last series I watched was with Alec Baldwin. I never watched any of the CGI stuff. I only watched the model ones. Oh, we'll run the new shorty coaches with number 3. Oh, and if anyone is interested, this coach might be getting listed on eBay soon. Nobody can see it because there's crap in the way. This coach might be getting put on eBay soon if anyone is interested. This is Sierra Railway Shorty. I've ended up replacing it with a more accurate custom one, so it's not really needed for me anymore. But, maybe someone else can use it. Oh, I have no room to put any cars. I have bought too much stuff. Too much stuff. There's room here. The floorboards are getting creaky. That's not good. The hell is that? No. Oof. All right, we're doing Sierra 3 now, right? Right. Actually, I have all the cars now to do the Back to the Future contest. I just don't know if number 3 can pull all those cars because like 3 of the cars are made out of heavy metals instead of plastic. But I can try running the Back to the Future contest if anyone wants that. Where's number 3 at anyway? I'm going to cut power because this engine might short it out. I'm going to get the trucks on there. Okay, I'm going to read chat real quick. Yep, I'm going to get number 3 running here shortly. Yeah, I can see why the movie got demolished the way it did, because it's definitely not a good movie. There was a couple of scenes I did actually legitimately find were funny. It was like horrible garbage humor that like 5th graders would laugh at, like the whole scene with the what was it? The buckwheat scene. I thought that was kind of funny just because it was so absurdist and stupid. But like the rest of it was just kind of like not so good. I've seen significantly worse movies than it, but it still isn't a good movie by any stretch of the word. Good. Definitely was saved by the trains for me, at least. I can say the trains at least made it worthwhile to watch. They did get some really good shots of the William Mason running on that movie. But I think the show is infinitely better to it in every single way, though. If anybody has seen the show, it is much better. They kind of like tried to do like a Men in Black thing with the movie, and then they like half-arsed the plots. It didn't really come out like it was probably supposed to. I remember seeing somewhere the original actor Jim West in the '60s show absolutely obliterated that movie when it came out, and he like accepted the Razzie awards on it on behalf of Will Smith. It was that bad when it came out. Okay. I think we have the Back to the Future contest done. Okay. Yeah, they did not execute it as well as they could have, for sure. Like, that movie could have been really good if they didn't make half the whole spider thing is weird. The whole spider thing was like a forced decision from an executive producer, because I was watching a bunch of stuff when I did that Wild Wild West video. There's some weird. He had like a weird obsession with spiders. He tried forcing spiders into some other like Batman movie too, and ended up making it into one of them. But he was like insistent, like heavily insistent on them putting like a steam powered spider as the vehicle in Wild Wild West, which is weird. If that guy hadn't been one of the producers, and if they had like recast the whole thing and like rewritten the script, probably from the ground up, it probably would have been a significantly better film. Actually, I know it would have been a significantly better film. I saw the heist boxcars. I think Rapido made those, right? Those are pretty cool. I think what I'm going to do, though, is just buy his decals that he sells on his website and make like an old time box car with one of those. I have an extra roundhouse box car right now that I think I can just reuse for that. Wow, my brain is broke again. I was like looking for the address to access Sierra Railway number 3. I couldn't remember what number Sierra Railway 3 was. My brain is trash tonight. Right, I'm going to back it up on the siding and then get it coupled up. I'll see how it goes with the consist, and if it goes well pulling these cars, assuming the engine can handle the weight, I'll put the DeLorean in front of it too. Yeah, sci-fi westerns. Back to the Future 3 is like unbeatable. That is like the best that they could ever do. There will never be any topping that film. The General is pretty good silent picture, but it's definitely, you got to have the attention to be able to sit there and watch like an hour and a half of silent picture with no audio other than like orchestra music playing. Okay, we got number 3 all hooked up. The old Wild Wild West show, Michael, I could probably recommend it. It's a pretty, if you like old campy sci-fi, it's not really even a western, honestly. It's like a mystery. It's like, I don't know how to describe the old show. It just happens to be set in the old west, but it's like a thriller mystery. Like they do like mystery solving in a lot of the episodes, and sci-fi because they have a lot of gadgetry. Like there's aliens. There's like space aliens in one episode, and it was hilarious. There's a lot of good episodes to it. So if you like sci-fi and like mystery thrillers that just happens to be set in a western, and occasionally you get to see Sierra 3 and the Inyo, then I recommend it. They had a pretty good casting with it. They had some really good disguises for Artemis Gordon too. Like there's some episodes I didn't even know the main character was in disguise until like halfway through when they reveal it was him in disguise the whole time, because they actually did a really good job with some of them. Yeah, they like jammed that producer put that whole spider was entirely the one producer. If you like YouTube it, you'll see uh who did the movie. It was I can't remember his name. Somebody did a thing where they were talking with that producer, and he was like hell bent on having that spider in it, which is the iconic thing from the movie. Nobody's going to remember the Wanderer or the whatever the other gadgets were in there. The only notable thing was the spider. But yeah, he was absolutely hell bent on having that in the movie. It's going backwards. We're going the wrong way. Kiss your ass goodbye box cars. That would be hilarious to run on this layout. Oh, the car just... we just uncoupled. Oh, it's because the coupler height on one of these cars is all wrong. I don't remember what order they had the cars. I'm just going to put them together like this. We're going to pretend this is the actual consist in the movie, but I think it's wrong. Because I think the long coach was at the end. Yeah, that was definitely what made the movie. That was the hallmark of that movie, was that spider. All right, it was nice seeing you, Crazy Spud. Hope you have a good evening. I forgot. So I have a cork with this layout. I can only run Sierra 3 on the outer line right now because the track work is a bit messed up on the inner bit of the loop, and the 3 does not like that really tight bend, and it will come off the track on this really tight bend that the inner loop has. So I got to change the track real quick. These Tyco engines just barely will run on 18-inch radius track. If anybody has them, I definitely recommend running them on like 22-inch radius or larger. All right. Did I switch the point? I did. All right. Let's see if I can get a good shot. Oh, it's definitely running better now than when it started, Michael. That thing was derailing constantly when I had it running on the track before, and it was like binding up on the curves too. All right, this is the Back to the Future consist. Except I think these two cars in the wrong spots. I think the shorty was up there and the long one was back here. But oh well. How do I lift this? Here we go. Oh, hello there, Josh, and thank you. All right, it was nice seeing you, Chessie. Thank you for joining the stream tonight. What was I going to say? I had something else to say about Wild Wild West, too. I totally forgot. I'll just leave it at Wild Wild West was an interesting movie. We'll just leave it there. Interesting is the word I'll use for that movie. I will give it the benefit, though, that it's not one of the... I've seen a few movies that were so bad. I don't know if anybody has the same experience. But I've seen some movies that are literally so bad that it feels like my brain melted and just like I lost IQ points after watching some movies. Like, some of them are just that bad. And that movie was bad, but not that sort of bad. Like, it was watchable bad. There's certain movies, I'm going to try and think of them. I honestly blocked so many movies out of my head that were the bad, that you, like, brain melting bad. Yeah. I can't even think of any because I probably blocked them out of my mind. It's an enjoyable dumpster fire. That's how we're going to describe. That's Wild Wild West. Enjoyable dumpster fire. It has its moments for me personally that I did laugh at and think were funny. But yeah, not so good. The train scenes were definitely the redeemable aspects, as they got the William Mason steamed up for that movie, and they restored the Reno physically for that movie again, even though they just blew the freaking thing up again, But hey, at least we got the Reno, which rebuilt, which is cool because now they're actually fully rebuilding it now, and I look forward to seeing how the Reno's restoration goes in the future. I've never watched Transformers. That's probably a good thing. No, it was on at the hotel in Durango, one of the Transformer movies. The Michael Bay one says there was like nothing but explosions. I watched 15 minutes of it and said this is stupid. And luckily enough, they were playing other movies that were like watchable. I think Back to the Future was on, luckily, and I think that's what I changed it to as the first Back to the Future. But yeah, those Transformer movies to me are, I can't watch those. And then again, I've only tried to watch the one because it was like on TV on the hotel, and there's like no choice for anything else to watch really, except for like Back to the Future, which thank God I think I found. So you can feel brain cells evaporating watching Transformers. I can't believe you sat through the entirety of one of those. I couldn't. I got like 15 minutes into it and like didn't want to watch another second of it. Oh, and hello there, Zach, and thank you. Or Zach, I'm assuming Zach. Zach, not Zach's. I'm assuming that's plural. Or not plural, possessive. My brain is so done. 176 engines. Wow. That's quite the collection. I thought I was like crazy for having like, what was I at? I had like 40 at most at one point. I thought I was that crazy for trains because I had 40. And then like I realized there's people that have like literally thousands of engines. I'm like, okay, well, I could never afford that for one. But it's cool to see when people have massive collections like that, to be able to have all these engines in one place is really cool. I'm trying to keep mine to like 20 now, just because I don't have the physical space for it. But it's cool that you have 176. Are they like DC or DCC, or are they like Lionel, or what are they, Josh? And 250 cars. That's cool. I have a lot of cars too, more than I definitely need. I really should sell more of them on eBay because I'm not using like half of them. I've never seen Bumblebee. I've never been into Transformers, to be honest. I've never really been into it at all. A lot of people, like when I was in school, a lot of my friends were into it. I was more of the Star Wars and really just Star Wars. Star Wars and like random sci-fi movies. Like I commented on it the other day on your thing, Michael. Twister was like an obsession for me. Like I had like tons of books about tornadoes, and I almost wore that VHS we had of Twister out from watching it so many times. My favorite scene was always when they were doing that like panning shot, like that whole the musical transition into Van Halen's song when they go to chase like the third tornado after they leave the aunt's house will always be my favorite part of that movie. When they're like doing that orchestra bit with like the helicopter panning shots over the town and then like over the fields with the music. Oh my god, I love that movie. And I also loved what else was there? Short Circuit and Mars Attacks were also movies I was obsessed with. Just like random movies. Star Wars was the only series I really was like super into. The rest of it was just like random movies. Oh, I remember the Herbie movie that Disney made, the reboot in like 2005. I don't remember anything from the movie. I just remember it being a movie, though. Lionel, AC. Yeah, so a lot of stuff. That's cool. You have a wide variety. I try to get into a wide variety. I had like at one point I had N scale, HO, O, ON30G, and yeah, that's it. I had those 5 scales, and I just didn't have the space for it all. So now I'm just mostly focused on HO. I wanted to get into G scale outside, but that's probably never going to happen. I really wanted to break into G scale again with the Glenbrook 260 that Bachman makes, but I realistically know I'm not going to be able to commit to doing a whole garden layout and doing all the upkeep needed with it in the summer when I'm busy at work. I saw the second one. I liked the second one. I was honestly hoping they'd have a bit more Easter eggs to the first one. Like, I like how they had Dorothy at the beginning of it. But then again, that would have kind of diluted the meaning of the sequel. I honestly was expecting them to reveal that the main gal in that movie was going to be like Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt's daughter. A bit disappointed it wasn't, but then again, the movie stands on its own without it. Yeah, the graphics were really good in that one too. I think the tornadoes in the 90s one actually held up really well as well. Yeah, I remember this 2005 Herbie that had what's her name in it. She was also in the remake of The Parent Trap because I remember that one too. Lindsay Lohan, I think that's who was in that. I remember, like I said, I remember the movie. I do not remember a single moment of the movie, though. I just remember it existing. Because I remember we would rent that movie sometimes. We had like a cycle of movies that we would just rent over and over, and that was one of them. Yeah. Z-scale track. I can't even imagine how small Z-scale is in person. And I think there's even a scale smaller than Z-scale. It's like T scale or something. Yeah, I remember being in a ton of like specifically Disney stuff in the 2000s. She was in Freaky Friday too. I remember that. I remember watching both of those, the 70s one and the remake one with Jamie Lee Curtis in it. The Jamie Lee Curtis one I thought was hilarious. The other one was very much a product of its time from the 70s. Dustin and Javier Escuela are now dead, it appears. Somebody killed them somehow. I don't remember them getting knocked over. We're going to get the DeLorean out now, because it looks like number 3 has no issues pulling those cars. Where are you? That car. Why the hell aren't you getting on the track? Get on the track. Oh, Michael, I think I sent it in the in those parts box. I sent you some spoked wheels that are from the Disney 460's pilot truck. They're plastic red ones. I figured you could use that for an engine. That just slammed right into it, didn't it? So I sent you those spoked small pilot truck wheels. I figured you could either use those for an engine, or if you ever wanted to make a DeLorean and for the for your HO layout, I took very similar wheels to those spoked ones, and I just took a Hot Wheels Back to the Future Part 3 car, and I just drilled off the body. Or sorry, I took the body off of it and got rid of the original chassis and just made this easy little cheap custom one. And I absolutely love running this thing on the layout. It's a fun little Easter egg. And those spoked wheels would be like perfect to use for something like that if you were to ever like get like a Hot Wheels DeLorean. My brain broke again. Sorry. Oh, and I don't know if you noticed, but I threw like an almost N scale DeLorean in there too from part 2 with the wheels that are lifted up as well. Yeah, that they came from the Disney engine. That Disney engine got thrown in the garbage. The mechanism and everything was trash. It was not worth anything. And the boiler and the cab were like obliterated because they were made of this cheap plastic that was really brittle when you work on it, because it was like a cheap lifelike model. It was just garbage. It was not worth anything. It wasn't worth saving. That's hilarious. I'm glad you got a use for that DeLorean. I thought you would find that to be pretty funny if I included it. Oh, she's slipping. There we go. House building montage. Yeah, I like to use the house building theme for my YouTube videos when I do anything about the layout. Whenever I get around to reworking this layout, I'm absolutely using that as like the intro montage. Actually, let me show the town off, because we haven't really gotten to see the town for like majority of this stream. There we go. Oops, I think we just had a derailment. Did we? Did we derail? We did not. Okay. Oh, maybe we did. We're stalling out. How much Z-scale track are you getting? I've seen some people, I don't know if it was Z-scale, but somebody made like a Z-scale layout in a suitcase. That wouldn't take much track. Somebody made like a hat. I think it was, I saw a video of somebody at Amherst had like a Z-scale layout on their hat, which is like amazing. It'd be really cool if somebody took a larger hat, like a 10-gallon cowboy hat or a sombrero, and put a layout on it. I think we'll run the engine with the DeLorean, and then the stream is going to be over after we run just the train and DeLorean. Just because I'm starting to get tired. Which is probably abundantly clear with the amount of times I've had total brain farts throughout this entire stream tonight. I don't know where to put this car. I have no room for my stuff. Oh. What's the layout dimensions going to be there, Josh, for the Z-scale layout? You got the DeLorean. I'm always getting like cat hair. The cat doesn't even come into my room. And I am finding, like, if you look at half of my videos and shorts, you'll see cat hair in like every other one of them. And I swear, I vacuum this layout frequently. And cat hairs still get on the layout. It's so annoying. Ugh. And she's like one of those, what are they called? She's like one of those tabby cats with the longer hair. And she just gets hair everywhere. I'm assuming you're referencing the Z-scale trains. I can't imagine those engines in Z-scale having much pulling power to them with how small the motors it would be in those things. Here we go. I've never tried running this thing at high speeds. I'm honestly scared to run this thing at any faster than it's going now. And like, it's not even running at half speed right now. I have a feeling it would like rip and derail off the tracks immediately if I went any faster. Oh, thank you, Josh. Alright, I think now is a good time to probably end the stream. It's been 2.5 hours exactly now. Starting to get tired. I'm gonna go make a snack and lay down. We'll run the train by one more time and I'll end the stream. All right, I hope everyone has a good night. And, oh, Dakota, feel free to let me know. I want to hear how that engine is for you. So if you could, just let me know whenever it gets there to you. I want to make sure it's all good to go. I mean, like I said, it should be good. It was running fine when I sent it, but I just want to hear about how that engine runs for you. Anyways, though, I hope everyone has a good night, and thanks for watching.